I'm Dana Shagru with CEAg World Greenhouse Produce, an innovative brand that engages with the rapidly expanding global greenhouse produce industry through a variety of platforms. Our mission is to educate and connect greenhouse produce growers and industry allies to help them better understand and sustainably advance the global food industry. On this episode of CEAg Talks, I'll be speaking with Bob Jones, co-owner and CEO of the Chef's Garden in Huron, Ohio, and Henry Gordon Smith, founder and CEO of Agritecture. Bob and Henry, welcome to CEAg Talks. We're excited to have you here, and we're thrilled you're keynoting for us at the CEAg World Conference and Expo next month.
Thanks so much for having us.
Good morning.
What advice do you have for growers who traditionally grow only outdoors but have considered protected cropping systems? More specifically, how do they start and what things should they consider?
How they should start is the question. I think the key to begin with is similar to what Bob said, is the market. I mean, people get so obsessed with the technology in this. I understand that, especially if you're a new grower. I certainly felt that way the first time I saw an image of a vertical farm or a hydroponic greenhouse on a rooftop. It just, the light bulb goes off, like, this makes so much sense. This is how all agriculture should be done, right? But in reality, like, you really need to take a step back and taper your expectations and focus on the business case, which ultimately is, who's buying your product? What are they paying for it? And how do they want it? And I think that's the key thing you need to obsess over is that. And everything else you design around that. So at Agritecture, we go through various steps depending on how in-depth our study is. You know, a more in-depth study would really look at direct surveys with customers, sharing packaging options with them, taste options with them, comparing the competition for them to understand what do they want, because we need to know what we're growing is better than what they have and understand their opinions. But even on a lighter version, you're just looking for the competition, what's being grown, where's it coming from, what are the quality issues, what are the pricing issues, what are the, are the retailers, go talk to the retailers, are they facing gaps in supply or gaps in quality? You want to design your farm around that. And I'm still shocked to this day how many vertical farms, for example, have been built without even doing appropriate market research to design their very expensive high capex farms around disrupting something very specific that they've done through market research. So I'd say that's really the place to begin. Another layer of this, if you're an entrepreneur, for example, is, what really matters to you? I think when it comes to agriculture and CEA, it's like, I say, what do you want to do with your business? What do you want to do with your farms? I want to grow the best product possible. I want to make money. I want to be super sustainable. I want to great jobs for everyone. I want to impact, my community. And those are all great goals. But I think ultimately you have to have a primary goal that is guiding you. That is the thing you're always going to make a decision about. And for some companies, that can be a deep commitment to sustainability. But in most companies, in the end, it may be the triple bottom line, but it really is the bottom line for them. And I think, again, it's about moving from naive ideas about agriculture into the realities of the business and operations challenges that are really going to make or break the business. And so setting, I think, your values for your business, what kind of business you want to run is very important. Another reason why this is important is because it defines whether you're going to be building a big farm or a small farm. I think a lot of people imagine, a lot larger farms than they really need to build to have the kind of business that they're looking for to be satisfied from. And if you don't know that at the beginning, you're going to end up with a farm and operations challenges that you don't really want to have. And I think, or having to raise money from investors that you don't really want to deal with. And so these are really key things that we try to help our clients manage through a concept development process early on in our consultation to really set goals about what matters to you. What do you want? What's the experience you want? Because in the end, agriculture is one of the most challenging and rewarding activities you can engage in. But those challenges can really break a lot of people, especially if they don't come from a farming background. So you need to remember what your reason is. That's a key piece, as well as what the market conditions are. They're going to feed that revenue and that justification for your farm.
Thanks, Henry. What about you, Bob?
Well, Henry covered most of what I would say are the important things. We typically want to always start with your context. What is the context in which you're looking to make these decisions, right? What is the market? What is the crop? What are your goals? Begin with an end in mind and start small. Small mistakes have fewer zeros on them. Larger mistakes have bigger zeros, especially if you're working with investors. This CEA is very popular with investors today, but they all have high expectations of ROI. And if you don't understand your context, you don't understand your market, you don't understand your scale, it can be very easy to end up in a place that none of you want to end up. So that's where I kind of come back to this, know the context of the conversation around you doing. And I think that if we've not worked with investors, but my guess is if you are working with investors, they need to be a part of that conversation from the very beginning so that everybody's on the same page and nobody's surprised. But understanding all of those things that Henry alluded to are so critically important. The possibility is there, the technology is changing, but it really does take a community that includes engineers, economists, and plant people. You have to have the combination. No one of us is as smart as all of us.
Awesome. Thank you both for answering that. Well, we've reached the end of my list of questions, but I want to open the floor to you both and see if there's anything that we haven't talked about yet you feel is important to cover.
One of the things that I'm particularly excited about sharing in my keynote is something different, which is the findings from our fourth CEA census. Now, we talked a lot about what do CEA farms need to think about and all of this. And one of the key things that can help all of us is to understand a little bit about what others are doing. Many farms don't interact with other farms. They don't necessarily know exactly how they're practicing things. And I'm not talking about revealing IP, but I'm talking about what are people growing? What size are they? What are some of the metrics around their production that they're willing to share? And so the census is really an opportunity for the entire community to share some information about their farm's performance that Agritecture analyzes and then puts into a published report. And this year we've partnered with CEAg World to analyze that data and to publish it. And we've got great sponsors like Priva, Solon Technologies, and TTA that are supporting this work. So again, long story short, I'm going to be presenting the findings of that. I went through it today. We've already crossed over 300 responses from the farmers. We're going to be sharing what they're growing. We're sharing the size of their farms. And primarily the focus this year, because each year has a theme, is technology adoption. We talked a lot about CEA technology today, but we're really asking farmers to think about, how do you think about cloud computing related to your technologies? How do you think about LEDs? How do you think about sensors? What matters more to you? What are you interested in learning more about, understanding more about? How does that change between your pilot farm and your expanded farm? And so this is going to be something I'll present for the first time at the event, and then we'll publish the report in October. So that's what my talk will be about. I'm pretty excited because it's a brand new talk with new data.
Yeah, we're excited to hear the results from that for sure.
I think that I'm excited because I want our time there together to be really a dialogue about learning from each other. Hopefully I can provide some inspiration, both on things that you might consider doing and things that you probably shouldn't consider doing, because I've made some of those mistakes. And if I can help a few folks eliminate some of those mistakes, then that our time will be successful. One of the big things we want to talk about, or I've been asked to talk about, is our renewable energy project. We will be producing approximately 70% of all of our electricity on farm in the very near future. And that's a bigger, a piece of a larger goal that we have surrounding growing nutrient-dense food and selling it directly to end users and being able to ship it carbon neutral. And that's a bigger part of our sustainability goals here at the farm, reducing plastics, reducing water use, and renewable production of energy, along with producing our own greenhouse fuels in biofuel heaters. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I know that as a farmer, farmers typically like to hear from other farmers and they like to see pictures. So I'll have lots of slides.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing them. I think that concludes our talk here. Thank you both again for joining me on this episode of CEAg Talks, and we look forward to talking with you again in Raleigh.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks so much. Looking forward to it. See you, Raleigh.